Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Erin's Tea. This is the 5th day of December, and we are on our journey with David's Tea's Advent Calendar. So let's go ahead and open up door number 5 and see what we have to drink today. We have a green tea today called the Countess of Seville. Now, green tea is what started my love affair with tea years ago. And before I started researching into tea, I always just boiled water and poured it on my tea, and I think a lot of people do. Part of the problem with doing that with green tea is that we're using water that's too hot for the tea leaves, and we're burning the tea leaves. So this particular tea, we're going to want to get our water to 82 degrees, not 98, which we're used to, and we're going to want to steep it for 3 to 4 minutes. So with this particular tea, if you don't have a fancy schmancy thermometer with a timer on it, you can bring your water to a boil and then let it rest for about 3 minutes. And that should cool down the water temperature to an appropriate amount for this particular tea. You can always time your steeping on your computer or on your stove clock. But the best thing to do when you're steeping tea is not walk away from your teapot or your teacup, because you will forget unless you have a timer. Just keep that in mind. So with this particular tea, we have bergamot, there is orange peel, and green tea. Now, I thought when I first smelled this, because it smells like Earl Grey, I was going to love this tea. It was Earl Grey and green tea, my two favorite things together. But I didn't love it. It was bitter. I tried adding milk to it, and I usually don't add anything to green tea because it's such a wonderful taste on its own. But it just didn't work for me. So let's see what we can do if it tastes a little bit different with following the proper brewing instructions. And go ahead and pour this. The reason, when they wrote up the little write-up for this tea, they said the Countess of Seville is from Spain and Earl Grey was a ladies' man, and so this is their tea of their togetherness. So that's kind of the fun stuff behind that tea. Let's go ahead and smell it. So it does still smell quite orangey. Let's go ahead and taste it. Actually, it's much better than when I first tried this tea. So following proper brewing procedures is very important when you're having your cup of tea. I didn't really realize that until today. So keep that in mind. When we're talking about green tea, there are lots of different varieties of green tea. There's Japanese green tea and Chinese green tea, and then there's a whole broad area in between those. So they're all going to have different brewing temperatures and steep time. People love green tea because it has wonderful antioxidants in it. People drink it because of the EGCG complex, which is the fat-burning antioxidant. But keep in mind, if you're eating McDonald's every day and you're having 1 cup of green tea, that's not really going to cut it. You have to drink a lot of green tea for those complexes to build up in your system. It contains about 5 to 10% the caffeine as coffee, so it's not as stimulating as coffee, but it still does have stimulants in it. So keep that in mind. If you don't want to be up all night and you are affected by stimulants, don't be drinking this at night. So until tomorrow, that's tea to me.